Before the sun even rose, they were there, bulldozers, excavators, loud, shaking my entire farmland, no warning, no permission, no mercy. The HOA thought I'd watch quietly. They had no idea what I was capable of. Imagine waking up to the sound of metal tearing earth apart. The ground shakes beneath your feet. Diesel fills the air. Before dawn, the HOA rolled in like an army, carving a massive canal straight through the middle of my farm. No calls, no letters, nothing to prepare me. They didn't care about my crops, my land, or the years of work poured into it. They expected silence, they expected fear, they expected obedience, but what they didn't know is that when you attack someone's home, their history, their hard work, you awaken a storm that can't be stopped. Before the sun even rose, I knew something was wrong. The earth beneath my feet trembled before I even saw the machines. A low, mechanical growl filled the air. Bulldozers, excavators, and dump trucks rolling in like an army. No knock on the gate, no letters slipped under my door, no warning at all. The HOA had decided to carve a massive canal straight through the middle of my farmland, through my wheat, through my irrigation lines, through my blood, sweat, and decades of work. I grabbed my boots and ran outside. The smell of diesel stung my nose. The ground shook with every swing of their massive machinery. And there she was, Linda, the HOA president, clipboard in hand, barking orders like she was commanding an invasion. "This is for the community," she shouted. "Everything will be better once the canal is done. Better, better for who? Not for me, not for my family, not for the years I spent turning this land into a home." I stepped closer, hands on my hips, heart pounding, and said calmly, "Linda, you're on my land." Her smirk didn't falter. "The HOA map says otherwise." "This is common property," she spat. I felt a rush of heat. They were trying to erase me, erase my land, erase my years of work. I didn't yell. I didn't charge. I watched them. I studied their mistakes. Because here's the thing about people who attack something that isn't theirs. They underestimate the owner, they underestimate resolve, they underestimate the storm they just woke. As the sun rose behind the machines, their canal cutting through the earth like a scar, I made a silent promise. They had started this fight, but I was going to finish it. On my terms. The canal they dug was disaster, a gaping trench right through the middle of my farmland, cutting off my tractor path, flooding my irrigation, and dividing the land I'd poured years of work into. I watched the muddy water flow, swallowing my crops, and a cold fury settled over me. Linda and her HOA cronies were patting themselves on the back, convinced they had won before I even reacted. They didn't know me. They didn't know my family. They didn't know what happens when you attack someone who built everything with their own hands. I called my crew, not to argue, not to negotiate, but to reclaim what was mine. Excavators, dump trucks, gravel, concrete. By midday, we had begun a plan that would turn the HOA canal into their biggest nightmare. Step 1. Survey the land every inch, every legal boundary, every access route. Step 2. Mobilize the machines. We brought in equipment capable of cutting through earth, leveling soil, and pouring a road wide enough for tractors, trucks, and authority figures alike. Step 3. Act fast. Before the HOA could rally their lawyers, before they could threaten a single phone call, we began. Linda arrived mid-morning, her face twisting from confidence. "Horror, what are you doing?" she screamed, running across the muddy banks. "This is illegal. Stop immediately." I didn't answer. I simply pointed at the deed, the survey maps, and the county documents neatly stacked in my truck. "They dug on my land," I said. "I'm restoring access, fully within my rights." And then the real work began. We filled sections of the canal with gravel, tamped it down, and leveled it. We poured concrete, section by section, until a solid, permanent road stretched across their so-called improvement. Machines roared, dust swirled. The HOA board scattered like children, unsure how to stop what was already unstoppable. By sunset, the road was complete. A perfectly paved, fully legal highway across their canal. Access restored, my property whole, their arrogance shattered. Linda and her team ran to call lawyers, scream at neighbors, and issue threats. Every single attempt failed. The road was untouchable. The law was clear. I had won without firing a single shot, just by knowing my rights and taking action. Word spread through the neighborhood. People started stopping by, some cheering, some filming. "Did you see what he did?" They asked each other. The HOA had created a spectacle, and I, quietly standing on my restored land, became the impossible problem they had no solution for. Weeks later, the HOA tried to intimidate residents into avoiding the road. It didn't work. The community laughed at their attempts. Board shrank in power. Linda resigned in frustration, leaving behind the canal she thought would be her triumph. My farmland, safe, restored, protected, and the lesson was clear. If you attack someone's hard work, you may win the moment, but you will never win the battle. By the time the sun rose, the next morning the neighborhood was buzzing. Word had spread about the road I had built across the canal, the one the HOA had thought would destroy me. The machines were gone. The canal was half filled, and a solid, legal, untouchable road now cut across the mess they had made. Linda didn't come alone this time. She brought lawyers, letters, and a binder thick enough to crush a small car. She marched onto my property with the swagger of someone who thought victory was still possible. "This is illegal construction," she shouted. "You have no right to build this road." I calmly held up the deeds, survey maps, county records, everything proving this was my land, my right, and fully legal. "Read them," I said. "Every inch, every law, every line mine." The lawyers flipped through papers. The HOA board members whispered frantically. Neighbors peeked from windows. The tension was thick enough to slice. Then came the first officer, a neutral county inspector, called in to mediate. He walked the road slowly, stepping over gravel and concrete. He looked at the canal. He looked at the deeds, and then he looked at Linda. "Ma'am," he said, voice calm but firm, "this road is on his property. The canal was dug without legal authority. Any attempt to remove it will be considered trespassing." Linda froze. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. The HOA had tried intimidation, threats, manipulation. All of it crumbled in one calm, legal statement. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I simply walked along the road, my boots crunching gravel, feeling the weight of 6 months of work, planning, and resilience settle around me. Then the chaos began. Board members argued among themselves. Lawyers whispered heatedly. Neighbors recorded every second, posting videos, sharing the spectacle online. Comments flooded in. "This is amazing. He built a road over their canal. Genius. HOA got owned." By the end of the week, the HOA had no choice. Linda resigned. The other board members quietly stepped back. Their threats vanished. The canal remained permanently blocked by my legally protected road, a monument to determination, knowledge, and the refusal to back down. Weeks later, my family walked the road together. The sun glinted off fresh concrete. The wind rustled through the wheat fields. Birds flew overhead as if celebrating the victory. My child skipped along the road. My spouse smiled. And I realized something. The fight wasn't just about a road or a canal or the HOA arrogance. It was about respecting hard work. It was about defending what's yours. It was about showing the world that if you know your rights and refuse to be bullied, you cannot be defeated. The HOA had underestimated me. They had underestimated my resolve. And now, everyone in the neighborhood knew you don't mess with someone's land, their home, or their family's legacy. I stood on that road, looking across the farm I had rebuilt, restored, and defended, and I smiled. Because in the end, hard work, knowledge, and courage always win. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. For more videos, thank you. This video is a dramatized, AI-generated story created for entertainment purposes only. Names, characters, and situations are fictional and do not represent any real individuals or events. This content fully complies with YouTube's community guidelines and policies.